Have you ever felt like God asked something from you that was just too difficult? That the weight of obedience seemed heavier than you could carry? If so, this story is for you. Today, let's revisit one of the most powerful stories in the Bible, the sacrifice of Isaac. A story about faith, trust, and the power of complete surrender. In the heart of the ancient world, nestled amidst rolling hills and lush valleys, lived a man named Abraham. He wasn't just any man. Oh no. Abraham was a man of faith, a beacon of belief in a world that often forgot the divine. His journey began many years ago when God first whispered his plans to him, promises of a future filled with descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and lands stretching as far as the horizon. It was a future that seemed almost impossible, a dream that danced on the edge of reality. Yet Abraham held on to these words, nurturing them in his heart like precious seeds. For decades, Abraham and his wife Sarah lived in hope, their hearts echoing the silent question, when, oh God, when will these promises become our reality? Time slipped by like sand through an hourglass, each grain a moment, each moment a testament to their unwavering faith. Then, just when their spirits were about to falter and their hope threatened to dwindle, something extraordinary happened. Sarah conceived. Their son Isaac became the living embodiment of God's promises, a tangible proof that faith, no matter how tested, can bloom into reality. It was a joyous miracle, a celebration of faith, and a beacon of hope for all who knew him. Isaac grew under the watchful eyes of his parents, blossoming into a young man whose laughter echoed the joy of his birth. Little did they know that a shadow loomed on the horizon, a test that would challenge not just their faith, but the very essence of their trust in God. As Isaac reached manhood, Abraham's heart swelled with a mix of pride and worry. The time would come when his son would find his own path, walk his own journey. But what kind of path would that be? Would Isaac, too, embrace the covenant, walk the path of faith that Abraham himself had so steadfastly trodden? One morning, as the first rays of dawn painted the sky with hues of hope, God's voice echoed in Abraham's tent, a voice that carried the weight of ages and the echo of eternity. Abraham, your son, your only son, whom you love, and go into the land of Moriah and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I will tell you. These words were not just a command, they were a trial, a crucible of faith that Abraham was being asked to step into. The son he loved so much, the fulfillment of the promise, was now being asked of him, demanded as a sacrifice, a burnt offering on the altar of obedience. Imagine the turmoil within Abraham, the battle in his heart, the clash between love for his son and obedience to God's command. How could he contemplate sacrificing Isaac, the embodiment of his faith, the living testament to God's promises? Yet Abraham didn't argue, didn't plead, didn't bargain. He simply rose. Rising, he didn't just obey God's command. He embodied it, preparing the necessary items, readying himself for the journey. There was no resentment, no bitterness, just quiet resolve, a determination born of unwavering faith. As he set out on the 3-day journey to the land of Moriah, each step echoed the weight of his sacrifice. The sun beat down, the road stretched ahead, and with each passing moment, the enormity of his task pressed down on him. But Abraham walked on, his eyes fixed on the road, his heart heavy with sorrow, yet resolute in spirit. Then on the 3rd day, as if emerging from a dream, Abraham saw the mountain from afar. It stood majestically against the sky, its peak touching the clouds, its slopes shrouded in mystery. This was Mount Moriah, the place where his faith would be tested, where his love for God would be measured. And as he drew closer, the reality of his sacrifice settled upon him. The mountain was not just a place, it was a symbol, a monument to his faith. At that moment, Isaac, the apple of his father's eye, turned to Abraham, his voice ringing with innocence. "My father," he asked, "where is the lamb for a burnt offering?" It was a simple question, a child's curiosity about a familiar ritual. But how could Abraham answer? How could he explain the impossible task he had been set, the sacrifice that was about to take place? Yet he did not falter. Looking down at his son, his heart breaking with every beat, he replied, "God will provide, my son." These words, simple and direct, were a testament to Abraham's faith. He wasn't making excuses, wasn't offering justifications. He believed in God's promise, and that belief echoed in his voice. Now, picture the scene unfolding. The fire crackled, sending sparks spiraling into the twilight sky. Isaac lay bound on the altar, his head bowed, his eyes closed. And Abraham, his hands trembling, held the knife aloft. Just as the point of the blade was about to touch Isaac's skin, a voice boomed, echoing not just in the mountains of Moriah, but in the chambers of Abraham's heart. "Abraham, Abraham," the voice called out, and in that instant everything shifted. The impending sacrifice, the weight of obedience, the agony of separation, all of it hung in the balance as Abraham's heart pounded against his ribs. Looking up, he saw an angel. His wings spread wide against the twilight sky, his eyes filled with urgency. "Do not lay a hand on the boy or do anything at all to him," the angel commanded, his voice resonating with divine authority. "For now I know that you fear God, seeing that you have not withheld your son, your only one, from me." In that moment, the truth dawned on Abraham. He had passed the test. His faith, tried and tested, had emerged stronger, purer, deeper. And there, caught in the thicket nearby, was a ram, its horns entwined, mirroring the shape of sacrifice. It was perfect, a fitting substitute. With shaking hands, Abraham approached the ram, his heart still pounding, his eyes glistening with tears. As he prepared the ram for sacrifice, a profound sense of relief washed over him, mingled with gratitude for the second chance, for the provision that had been made. It was then that Abraham named that place "The Lord Will Provide." And as the first rays of dawn touched the mountain peaks, painting the sky with hues of hope and new beginnings, Abraham returned home, his heart heavy with the memory of the sacrifice, yet lighter with the knowledge that he had passed the ultimate test of faith. Maybe today you're on your own, Mount Moriah. Maybe God is asking you to give up something you love, a dream, a relationship, a plan. But the message of this story is clear. God never asks for something without a purpose. Sometimes he tests our faith not to break us, but to reveal how much we trust him. Abraham teaches us that silent obedience speaks. It's louder than 1,000 questions, that real faith doesn't need all the answers, just trust. In the end, the faith that is tested is the faith that is trusted. Remember, the God of Abraham is the same today. He is still Jehovah Jireh, the Lord who provides. When everything seems lost, remember the Lamb is already on its way. The provision has already been made. Trust him. Climb the mountain, and when you reach the top, you will see that God's faithfulness always wins. Because in the end, the faith that is tested is the faith that is trusted. If this story touched your heart, like, share, and subscribe for more messages that strengthen your faith. May God bless you.